never thought I'd be the guy telling Astri like this. You hear about it online, see it in movies, but you never think it's going to happen to you until it does. My wife Jessica and I had been married for 6 years of what I thought was a good marriage. We had our ups and downs like anyone else, but I never had a reason to doubt her, or at least that's what I used to believe. Looking back, there were signs ignored, because I trusted her. It started with the late night. She suddenly had so much work at the office, always staying late for meetings that never seemed to end before midnight. Then came the unexplained weekend. Iran's the phone call she'd take in another room, and the way she'd pull her screen away whenever I walked by. I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was just overthinking, but the feeling wouldn't go away. Then one night everything changed. It was a Thursday. Jessica had left early for drinks with coworkers, and I was home alone flipping through my phone when I decided to check our security cameras. We had a few set up round the house, nothing fancy, just basic ones I installed myself for security reasons, but there was one in the living room angled toward the front door that I suddenly had a gut feeling about. I opened the app, scrolled through the last few days of footage, and nearly dropped my phone there. She was Jessica in our living room, but she wasn't alone. A man was with her, some guy, tall, dark-haired, built like he spent more time at the gym than at an actual job. In the way she was looking at him, the way she touched him, my heart felt like it had been ripped out of my chest. They were comfortable with each other, too. Comfortable. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was routine. I felt like a fool. For the next few minutes, I just sat there, watching the footage, my hands shaking with pure rage. I wanted to smash my phone. Wanted to scream, wanted to drive to wherever she was and humiliate her in front of her so-called coworkers, but instead I did something smarter. I copied the video, downloaded it, backed it up to multiple drives, uploaded it to a private folder, ensured that no matter what, this evidence wouldn't disappear. Then I waited. When Jessica came home that night, she acted like everything was normal, walked and kissed me on the cheek, smelled like a mix of expensive perfume and someone else's cologne. I asked her how her night was, and she smiled, telling me about some hilarious thing her friend Amanda said at the bar. I stared at her, barely hearing a word. She had no idea that her life was about to come crashing down. I didn't confront her right away, no, that would have been toozy. Instead, I started planning, thinking of the perfect way to make sure she felt the betrayal I did, and the best revenge. It wasn't just exposing her, it was ruining her. So I started gathering information, text messages, social media activity, bank statements, anything that painted the picture of her double life. And then once I had everything I needed, I prepared for the real fun. First, I made a list of everyone who needed to see this: her parents, her brother, her closest friends, her boss, her colleagues, hell, even a few of her clients. And when the time was right, I was going to make sure all of them saw the truth. Jessica thought I'd never find out. She had no idea just how wrong she was. The hardest part of revenge isn't the execution, it's the waiting, the patience, the self-control it takes to look your cheating spouse in the eye and pretend everything's fine while you sharpen the knife behind your back. For the next few days, I acted like nothing had changed. I still kissed Jessica goodbye in the mornings, still sent her texts during the day, still asked about her long hours at work, and the whole time I was preparing to destroy her. I had the video saved in multiple places, external drives, cloud storage, even a burner email account, just in case. I wasn't taking any chances, but the video alone wasn't enough. I needed more, so I started digging deeper. I went through our phone records and found an unfamiliar number she had been texting a lot, called it from a different phone, straight to voicemail. No name, just a generic greeting. That was enough to confirm what I already knew. This was her lover. A little more digging and I found out who he was. His name was Brandon Carter, and he wasn't some random guy from her office. He was her personal trainer, the same one she had begged me to let her sign up with because she wanted to get back in shape. I laughed when I realized it. I had been paying for her sessions, paying for the hotel rooms, the dates, the little gifts she thought I wouldn't notice. Unbelievable. But instead of getting mad, I got smart. I reached out to a friend of mine, Daniel, who worked in cybersecurity, told him I suspected Jessica was cheating, and asked if there was any way to recover deleted messages from her phone. He smirked, handed me a small device, and told me, plug this into her phone for 5 minutes, you'll get everything: texts, emails, deleted photo, 7 location history. It was exactly what I needed that night while Jessica was asleep. I carefully took her phone from the nightstand, plugged in the device, and waited. My heart was pounding, but she didn't even stir when the light on the device turned green. I unplugged, set her phone back, and walked out of the room. The next morning, I sat at my laptop and opened the files. What I found made my blood boil. Texts between her and Brandon going back months, flirty messages, plans to meet, pictures, some of them explicit, but the worst part, the way she talked about me. He's so clueless. I swear I could be gone all night, and he wouldn't even notice. I feel bad sometimes, but honestly, being with him is just boring now. I wish I could just be with you all the time. She wished she could be with him all the time. I was about to grant her that wish. I compiled everything, the video, the screenshots, the messages, into a neat little folder, Lab Jessica's True Colors. Then I started drafting my email. I kept it short, sweet, and devastating. Subject: just thought you should know. Message: hey everyone, I wanted to share something important about Jessica. I've been living in the dark for months, but now the truth is crystal clear. Instead of explaining, I'll just let you see for yourselves. The attached files should tell you everything you need to know. Then he attached the folder and added their recipients: her parents, her brother, her closest friends, her boss, a few of her co-workers. I stared at the screen, my finger hovering over the send button. Then with a deep breath I clicked it. There was no turning back now. Jessica thought she could play me for a fool. She thought she could sneak around behind my back, lie to my face, and get away with it. She had no idea that by the end of the day she'd have nothing left, and I wasn't done. Yet I had imagined this moment so many times in my head. Jessica's phone blowing up with calls and texts, her friends and family turning on her boss, reading every dirty message she had sent behind my back, but nothing could have prepared me for just how spectacular it was. It started early in the morning. I was sitting in the kitchen, drinking my coffee, when Jessica came rushing down the stairs, her phone clutched in her shaking hands. You what? The hell is this? She stammered, waving the screen at me. I took a slow sip of my coffee and shrugged. Looks like you got a lot of messages. Something wrong? Her face was pale, eyes darting across the room like she was trying to figure out if she was in some kind of nightmare. I could hear her heart pounding from across the table. You sent this, she demanded. You, oh my God, you sent this to my parents. Oh yeah, I said, leaning back in my chair, and your boss and a few of your co-workers. Figured they should know who you really are. Jessica's breath hitched like she'd just been punched in the gut. She turned away, gripping her forehead, whispering, No, 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 no. I didn't say a word. I just watched. Then the phone call started. First, her mom. Jessica hesitated for a second before answering, but I could hear her mother's furious voice even from where I was sitting. How could you do this to him? Do you have any idea how humiliating this is for our family? Jessica was practically hyperventilating now. Mom, please, just let me explain. Her mom hung up. Next came her brother, then her dad, then her best friend Rachel. The cycle was the same. Jessica answering in a panic, stammering, trying to come up with some excuse, only to be met with anger, disappointment, and disgust. I just sat there and enjoyed my coffee. Then came the real hit: her boss. Jessica's eyes widened in sheer horror when she saw the name on her screen. Oh my God, she whispered. Better take that phone, I said with a smirk. Might be important. She turned and sprinted toward the living room, but I followed at a distance. I wanted to hear exactly how this played out. Jessica, her boss's voice, came through the speaker, sharp and cold. I just got an email from your husband. Would you like to explain why there are explicit messages between you and a personal trainer circulating through the office? Jessica's breath hitched. I don't know how that. Her boss cut her off. Don't insult my intelligence. I don't care about your personal life. But now, clients have seen this. Your credibility is ruined. And quite frankly, this company doesn't tolerate this kind of behavior. Pack up your things, you're done. Click. Jessica dropped her phone like it had burned her. Her whole body shook as she collapsed onto the couch, hands gripping her hair. No, oh my God. No. I crossed my arms and leaned against the wall. So let me get this straight. You lost your family, your friends, and your job in one day. But that's got to be a record. Jessica turned to me with wide, desperate eyes. Michael, please. She choked out. I messed up. I know I messed up. But But we can fix this, right? I still love you. We can. I actually laughed. You love me. I repeated, shaking my head. Jessica, if you loved me, you wouldn't have spent months sneaking around with another guy lying to my face every damn day. Tears streamed down her face, but I felt nothing, no sympathy. No regret, just satisfaction she'd betrayed me now. She was paying for it. But I wasn't done yet, because if Jessica thought she had already hit rock bottom, she had no idea what was coming. Next, Jessica sat there frozen like a deer in headlights. Her life was crumbling around her, and there wasn't an atom thing she could do to stop it. Her phone buzzed again. Another message, probably someone else cutting her out of their life. I watched as she glanced at the screen, her face twisting in misery. Then slowly she turned to me, her eyes filled with desperation. Michael, she whispered, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I can't do this alone. Cool, don't have anyone left. Please, I raised an eyebrow. You should have thought about that before you spread your legs for Brandon. She flinched like I'd slapped her for a second. I almost felt a flicker of pity almost. But then I remembered the texts, the way she had laughed about how clueless I was, the way she had wished she could be with him all the time, and I decided it was time for the final knife in the back. I leaned in slightly, lowering my voice like I was about to share a secret. You know what the funny thing is, Jess? She looked at me with wide, teary eyes. You what? I smirked. I've been sleeping with your boss? Silence, pure stone silence. Jessica's mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. It was like watching a fish gasping for air. She swallowed hard, her voice cracking. You're lying. I pulled out my phone and scrolled through my messages. Then I turned the screen toward her. It was all there, texts, pictures, even a video of me and Vanessa, her now former boss at a hotel. Jessica's face drained of all color. See, I continued, my voice smooth and calm, while you were busy screwing around. Behind my back, I decided to return the favor. Vanessa was more than happy to help. Her lip trembled. Why would she? Because I said with Ashrug she already hated you, thought you were unprofessional, a liability, and when I told her what you'd been up to, well, let's just say she was eager to teach you a lesson. Jessica looked like she was about to throw up. Good. I stood up and stretched, letting out a satisfied sigh. So let's recap, shall we? I said, ticking the points off on my fingers. You lost your family, your friends, your job, and now your boss, the same one who just fired you, has been in my bed. Jessica let out a broken sob, shaking her head violently. No, this isn't happening. This can't be happening. I grabbed my keys off the counter and headed for the door. Oh, it's happening. And by the way, I turned back, meeting her devastated gaze. I already called a lawyer. The divorce papers will be here soon, and since you cheated, you're getting nothing. Her hands flew to her mouth. Michael, please. I didn't wait to hear the rest. I walked out the door, leaving Jessica alone in the ruins of the life she had destroyed. But the best part, I wasn't even finished. Yet I didn't look back when I walked out the door. I didn't need to. Jessica was finished, and she knew it. But I wasn't done, not yet. I spent the next few days tying up loose ends. First, I met with my lawyer, who assured me that since I had undeniable proof of her infidelity, I'd have the upper hand in the divorce. Jessica wasn't getting a dime. The house mine. The savings mine she could keep. Whatever was left in her personal account, which from what I saw in the bank statements wasn't much. Next, I made sure Brandon, her so-called lover, felt the heat too. I sent Vanessa everything I had on him, and Jessica turns out Vanessa had connections at the gym he worked at, and within 24 hours, Brandon was unemployed. But my favorite part, I made sure his girlfriend found out. Yeah, that's right. Brandon had been playing the same game as Jessica, sneaking around behind his long-term girlfriend's back. When I found her Instagram, I sent her a polite message. Hey, I think you deserve to know what your boyfriend has up to. Here's everything. Her response, immediate heartbreak, followed by pure rage. She'd hanked me and assured me she was going to make his life hell. Couldn't have happened to a better guy. As for Jessica, she was spiraling. She tried calling me, texting me. Even showed up at my office, once looking like a complete wreck. Mascara smudged hair, a mess, desperation in her eyes. My coworkers looked at her like she was a lunatic. I calmly told security to escort her out. She had lost everything, and it was only just sinking in. Then came the final blow. Vanessa and I had been seeing each other casually since everything went down. At first, it was just a way to stick it to Jessica. But I won't lie. Vanessa was sharp, confident, and actually fun to be around. Unlike Jessica, she was ambitious, independent, and didn't need a man to take care of her. One night we were out at a bar when I got a message from Jessica. "Jessica, can we please just talk? I miss you." I showed Vanessa and she smirked. "You should tell her you're busy with me," so I did. "Me sorry, can't talk." On a date with Vanessa, the red receipt popped up. No reply the next day. Jessica deleted all her social media accounts. That was the last time I ever heard from her. In the end, she got exactly what she deserved. She thought I'd never find out. She thought she could cheat, lie and get away with it. She thought she was untouchable. Now she had no family, no friends, no job, and no future. And me, I walked away from it all free. And I've never been better. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to leave a comment and hit the like button. Share your thoughts. I'd love to hear your perspective.